take a look at this co-main event. On paper, Kohlman Scribner, 3 wins, 2 losses, 24 years old, fighting out of Trials MMA. And those of you in North Platte, that's Ryan Schultz's gym in Fort Collins, Colorado. His opponent in this championship bout will be Tower Robinson, 6 wins, 2 losses, and 1 no contest. 27 years old, out of Lincoln, Nebraska. Trains out of Skywalker 101 MMA in the city of Omaha. And we go to Mike Kendall for our official fighter introductions.
Ladies and gentlemen, this fight is scheduled for 3 4-minute rounds for the MCF Welterweight Championship, and it's brought to you by Top Tier. North Platte, Nebraska, are you ready? Introducing first, fighting out of the red corner. This freestyler fighter stands 5'11", weight in at 176 pounds, holding an amateur record, 3 wins, 2 defeats. Training out of Trials MMA and fighting out of Fort Collins, Colorado, Kohlman Scribner. His opponent across the cage, fighting out of the blue corner, is a grappler standing 5'8", weight in at 172 pounds, holding an amateur record, 6 wins, 3 defeats, and 1 draw. Training out of Skywalker 101 and Pinnacle Sports and Fitness. Fighting out of Lincoln, Nebraska, by way of Franklin, Nebraska, Tower T.F. Robinson. Your referee is Dave Jobin.
A couple interesting things about this fight is if Kohlman wins, he doesn't get the opportunity to win the belt because of he missed weight yesterday.
Okay.
And also 4-minute rounds here.
That's right.
So 3 4s, 12 minutes of fighting.
3 4s. It's an amateur welterweight championship. But as you heard Ryan say, one of the fighters missing weight. And so if Kohlman does win, he will not be able to defend that title due to missing weight. But they're going to throw down anyway. Kohlman Scribner in the red, white, and blue shorts. Tower Robinson in the white shorts. Scribner out of Fort Collins, Colorado, Trials MMA, and Robinson, a fighter from Franklin, Nebraska, but he fights out of Skywalker 101 and Pinnacle Sports. Skywalker in Omaha, Pinnacle Sports in Lincoln, Nebraska. Not a lot of early action like we've seen in the other fights here, as these fighters are sizing each other up, I think, a little bit. They traded initially, Ryan McDonald, and here we go. They just need a little prodding for me. Kohlman Scribner has Robinson backed up against the cage, and he's content to hold him there and throw blows, Ryan McDonald. Kohlman Scribner in the red, white, and blue trunks has Tower Robinson backed up, but Robinson trying to sink in a guillotine, but Kohlman has nothing to do with it. And a takedown by Kohlman Scribner into the half guard of Tower Robinson. Ryan made him McDonald.
Now the back mount. This could be out early.
And now Kohlman Scribner in the red, white, blue trunks has the back of Tower Robinson, trying to soften him up with a few punches. Has both hooks sunk in, it looks like, Ryan McDonald.
Yeah, flatten him out.
Kohlman Scribner out of Trials MMA, Fort Collins, Colorado, has the back of Tower Robinson from Franklin, Nebraska. Several attempts to sink in that rear naked choke. But Robinson so far doing a good job, Ryan McDonald, of fighting it off.
Yeah, you know, this could be his fighting style, or he knows that the tough weight cut could gruel on him later in the 3rd round, so he's just pushing the pace here. You know, not respecting anything Tower has for him, but, I mean, so far it's paying off, you know.
This is an MCF Amateur Welterweight Championship, and as Ryan McDonald said, Kohlman Scribner missing weight at the weigh-in. So if he were to win this fight, he would not be able to defend that title. But right now, Tower Robinson
the legs off.
In
he
trouble.
Could be looking to stand up.
Trying to stand up.
He's got a human backpack on him now.
Kohlman Scribner riding the back and flattens out. Both hooks still sunk in by Kohlman Scribner. Just unable to get out of that dominant position is Tower Robinson. Rolling over, never a good sign for a fighter, Ryan.
You know, when Kohlman had him like flattened out, he had the underhooks, and that's what prevented Tower's hands from being able to tripod himself up. So he it was extending the legs and flattening him out as he was pulling up the arms, and he couldn't brace. You know, he just flattened out that stance.
Big shots, Ryan McDonald, being delivered to Tower Robinson by Kohlman Scribner, and the referee taking a very close look to see if Tower Robinson able to intelligently defend himself, as we now see Scribner in a full mount on Tower Robinson.
He is working. He's got about 30 seconds here to survive this round.
Round number 1 of a 3-4 minute round fight. Kohlman Scribner has dominated round number 1 so far in either the back or full mount position for pretty much the entire round here, Ryan McDonald. And go ahead.
The good thing about this is Tower's transitioning from back mount to mount, so it's keeping him alive here. If he just stayed in one position, Dave Jobin might have stopped the fight already.
Under 10 seconds to go. It looks like Tower Robinson may survive round number 1, but he will be battered. No doubt about that. Whew. Round 1 in the books. Kohlman Scribner dominating Tower Robinson, riding his back, and as you mentioned, Ryan McDonald, transitioning from full mount to back mount. Tell us what that does to your opponent.
You know, if you allow them to transition this much and you keep good positioning and you don't keep, you know, if you don't blow your load on all these positions and punching hard and trying to squeeze them hard, it forces them to get exhausted. You know, they're rolling back and forth and trying to carry your weight, and Kohlman's probably 190 some pounds today. So, you know, think about carrying that on your back and on your chest for 3 to 4 minutes. And, you know, he's just letting him transition so that he gets more tired. And we could see one or two things. We could see Kohlman be exhausted from the weight cut this next round, from, you know, the type of fight he's already made this, or we could see Tower exhausted from holding Kohlman on him, you know, for that.
For sure, yeah.
round.
Carrying around a fighter on your back is not something that anyone wants to do. Nonetheless, though, Kohlman Scribner got the best of Tower Robinson as we get ready to kick off round number 2. 3 4-minute rounds in this amateur welterweight championship fight between Tower Robinson in the white trunks and Kohlman Scribner in the red, white, and blue. And right off the bat, Tower Robinson lands a nice right hook, but Kohlman Scribner again.
Right back in on the legs.
Right back on the leg and right back up against the cage. Just like we saw round 1. This time, though,
guillotine here.
Does have a guillotine sunk in, does Tower Robinson.
Oh, his head's out.
Awful sweaty are those fighters, Ryan. Pretty hard at this point, maybe to sink in that guillotine. And Kohlman Scribner, great job of fighting off the hands.
He did have the arm in, and I think he was pulling a little more than he should have been. You know, he should have been sitting up.
And a Kimura attempt here, maybe. And he lets it go. Full mount, though, once again. We saw Kohlman Scribner take a couple of shots at the Kimura. They're unable to get it, so he's happy to go right back into full mount. And here we go again, transitioning from full mount to back mount, Ryan McDonald.
I can't imagine it goes further than this if Kohlman stays here for the, you know, the majority of the round, because he throws some hard shots and ground and pound. And frankly, I don't know if any human being, let alone Tower, is tough enough to take another round of that.
Yeah.
So.
And there were several points in round number 1 where the referee taking a very close look at Tower Robinson's ability to intelligently defend himself. Evidently, Tower doing enough from the bottom that he kept the ref happy. But here again, in the back mount is Kohlman Scribner. And again, going for a rear naked choke. And a good job by Tower Robinson reversing that, but still finds himself in the full mount of Kohlman Scribner.
Like I said on the one fight, I think Kohlman would have a little bit more success with sitting his mount higher. I think if he set his mount up by his shoulders and pinched his knees in, it would really stop Tower from rolling. But maybe that's what he wants Tower to do, is roll and expend energy.
Yeah,
you never know what's going through his head. So.
And there you go, and like you said before, kind of a nuisance to your opponent to have someone up that high on your chest, sitting right on your chest cavity and cutting off your air.
Yeah, you sit right up in there, and then you pinch your knees together so the shoulders just can't, they have no movement, nowhere to go. It's a tough position.
1 minute, 40 seconds to go. Round number 2 of this welterweight amateur championship fight. Kohlman Scribner again dominating round number 2, either in the back mount or full mount throughout most of this round. Just what we saw in round number 1. Kohlman Scribner unable to really find an answer with any sustained longevity of getting out of this. We've seen him escape for brief moments, but Kohlman Scribner right back on top of him as we see some elbows now landed from the full mount. And a goose egg popping up on Tower Robinson's forehead.
A back
and a
escape.
scramble.
Takes the back door. I'd like to see his head go a little higher. Oh, and he gets the back. Got a Granby roll from Kohlman. This is exciting.
And here we have a scramble. Tower Robinson scrambling, able to escape from the back mount of Kohlman Scribner, but again finds himself back, this time though in the full guard of Scribner, not allowing him so far to get back into that mount position. But we haven't really seen Scribner from the full guard to see what his posture's like, Ryan McDonald.
What I don't like about this is his head is so close to the fence. And that could, you know, it could be tough to get your back off the mat, and it could be tough for a lot of different things, seeing how stocky Tower is. But he's pulled off an armbar before in previous fights, so if Kohlman keeps laying in there, and he could be in danger of a pretty slick armbar Tower has.
Approaching under now, 15 seconds, round number 2. Kohlman Scribner in the red, white, and blue trunks. Tower Robinson in the white trunks. Again, round 2 dominated by Kohlman Scribner as it will come to an end. I think we did see some better things out of Tower Robinson that round, but again, I think you have to say Kohlman Scribner dominating for most of round number 2, just as he did for round number 1. Ryan McDonald, not sure where to go, was he?
I'm pretty sure he's exhausted here. He came to the wrong corner, and he's huffing and puffing for win. They both are, but we could see, you know, Kohlman gas out here in this last round, and I don't know, you know, it seems to be Tower's kind of growing as the fight goes, because we've seen some good stand-up exchanges from Tower, but I guess we'll find out.
You talked about that, though, round number 1. Kohlman Scribner's pace was just frantic, and you mentioned that with the weight cut and everything else that takes place leading up to a fight. It looked like he might have gassed himself out there. Maybe not quite as intense in round number 2, but still a pretty active Scribner in round number 2, I thought, Ryan.
I love the energy from Ryan Schultz right now. He's screaming in Kohlman's face and saying, "You got this. This is your fight. Let's take this. One more round, buddy. One more round," is what he's screaming.
One more round. Round number 3, the final round in this amateur welterweight championship. Kohlman Scribner in the red, white, and blue trunks, and Tower Robinson in the white. Rounds 1 and 2 dominated by Scribner. And here we go, round number 3.
Some hard shots from Scribner. Oh,
Scribner landed
body shot.
Oh, God. And there we go. That's going to do it. The shot to the body, Ryan McDonald, I think is what caused the big damage. That shot to the body by Kohlman Scribner was brutal. How it was followed up with some good shots to the head, but that shot to the body is what I think put Tower Robinson in trouble as we watch this body shot by Kohlman Scribner, and here it comes right here, right there to the sternum, and again to the same spot, and that's where you saw Tower Robinson double over. The punches to the face weren't the problem, I don't think, Ryan. It's that body shot.
You know, if he would have known that the stand-up, you know, he could have cut him off and put him on the fence in the first round and put some of those hard bombs on him, I think Kohlman could have got him out there a little bit earlier, you know, because the shots coming from Kohlman in that last round were so vicious. You know, I don't know if anybody can really get their back off the fence with a man so big, you know, especially with the size difference here, because Tower's normally a 55er, but man, he came game as all fighters can come, and he took the abuse for 2 rounds.
He did.
Super proud of Tower for that, you know.
2 rounds, so you're right, Ryan McDonald, 2 rounds of Tower Robinson carrying the weight of Kohlman Scribner, whether it was in the back mount or the full mount. It was a transition back and forth. It's good to see Tower Robinson get up. That shot to the body, though, absolutely devastating. And I heard Ryan Schultz call for Kohlman Scribner in between rounds 2 and 3 to go to the body, and he did, and did pay dividends for Kohlman Scribner as he takes this amateur welterweight championship bout home.
It
to
helps
Fort
to have
Collins.
such an experienced corner like Ryan the Lion. You know, it's one of those things I push in to my guys because, you know, I had to learn a lot of things through mistakes that I made. So it's good to have a guy who has that type of experience. And, you know, I can give my fighters that type of experience through just being in their corner.
Heck yeah.
They don't have to witness it firsthand.
Here's Mike Kendall with our official decision.
Ladies and gentlemen, your referee Dave Jobin calls a stop to the fight. In 19 seconds into the third and final round, for your winner by TKO, Kohlman Scribner.